So, if you've gotten through, you've gotten your 8 things, okay? I'm kind of curious, what are some of the things that you noticed for yourself while you were coming up with things? What were you thinking about? What happened as you started writing things down?
More things started to appear.
Okay, very good. So you wrote some things down, and then there was more things.
Right.
Yeah, very good. Did you end up coming up with something that you didn't even think you would have thought of?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's all of a sudden there's something else, and it's like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that, but there it is. But that's the thinking process. Very good. That's the good news about when you're not confused. It's like, it's if you think, and then you think more, and then there'll be things that are there that you hadn't even thought of before. Did you find that for yourself?
A little bit. I started getting into it, but then I got distracted with the, well, what if this and what if that?
Okay, great. Great. But you noticed that you were doing that.
Yeah.
All right, great. So then if you can see that, then when you notice it, it's like, oh, that's me doing that. Let me get back to what I was on task doing. So, perfect. Okay, great. Did you find your list starting to come together?
Yeah, and kind of the same thing. I started going off to like, well, I don't know, questioning myself.
Right.
But then I still, started getting excited about what could be possible, and I really just stuck to the work here.
Very good. So staying in the work, and then things kept coming. Beautiful. Okay, great. So now the next thing we do then is we start looking at the 4 things around each of one of those 8. So we can go through that process. Now, what I want to do is to give you the structure of that, and obviously we're going to take the time to do that. In terms of moving through what we're doing this as an exercise right now to really to get you trained in doing this, what I'd like you to do now is to look at the list of 8 things and look and see when would those things have to happen to get you to what you want. So obviously closing the deal would be one thing, Jag. The cold calling, which would have to come first.
Right.
The cold calling would come first, and you'd have some timelines in there. When would this happen? Okay. Now, the first place to start would be kind of interesting because it's not always when we think of the first place to start is with the first thing that should happen. We're going to work backwards. We're going to work with the first place to start is the last thing that's going to happen, which would be getting an increase in your income.
Right.
So when do you want to have that happen by? If you could pick a date.
Well,
besides tomorrow, right?
Increase my income by, let's say, 35% by the 1st of December
okay.
next year.
Gotcha. Okay, great. So December 1st, 2007, increase your income by 35%.
Right.
Very good. By the way, that Jag just did what he did. Okay, a couple of things. What do you notice that he did about what he said? It was very specific, okay? So not only would he say when it was going to happen, but by how much and what he was doing. He increases in income by 35% by December 1st of 2007. Okay, so that's great. Good. Thanks for thinking like that in those terms. So very good. Okay, great. So it kind of gives you the place to look there. What you would do then is you'd go back and you'd start to say, with those 8 things, when would those 8 things have to happen? And you'd come up with some dates. Now, would you start with today, or would you start with December 1st of 2007?
December 1st.
And we're going to go backwards, all the way up till we can back up to today. Okay, does that make sense? And you can just pick dates. And if you have 8 things, you may find that it's just in terms of every 6 weeks. Or back me up 12 months, okay, in terms of if I take 8 things out and just do it in terms of, if the timeline works, if it's linear like that. It may not be. Some things may have overlap. There may be 2 things happening once to get you to the next thing, okay? So you take a moment right now to do that. Okay, and we're going to pause the tape again while that thinking part goes on. All right, so now if you look on the next page, you're going to see a blank copy of the cluster diagram itself. So you've got a working list, and why we did the brainstorming part, Laura, is the brainstorming really gave us a chance to kind of stretch our mind out, write some things down. Did you find that you were writing things down and crossing things out, and right? So that's fine, because what we want to do now is take those 8 things, and we're going to put them into the cluster diagram. So each of the 8 things will go in the red ellipses. Around each ellipse will go the 4 things that interact with, that support getting that one of those 8 done, and then the main rectangle in the middle of the cluster diagram is what you want, that final goal. What we'll be able to do now is go back as Jag started to identify dates. And each of you have gone through now and done picking your dates. You can write the dates in. When are those things going to happen? And then we're going to tie the whole thing together. Okay? So, again, we're going to move through. You've had a chance to do that. Okay? Pause the tape again. Here we are. Here's the last piece. This is the part I call the masterpiece. Because the masterpiece now is a creation that you're going to create. And here's how this works. We're going to take that cluster diagram. And do you notice that on the cluster diagram, everything's very organized and it's on one piece of paper now? And it's in front of you. It's actually got some existence. It's very visual, right?
Even colored.
And it's in color, right? I love the color part.
Yeah, yeah, it
right?
helps.
It does, and by the way, those colors match back up to the steps.
Oh,
So
great.
whenever in the process, it's color coordinated in a way that will keep you in the game of watching the steps. It's something that they call super teaching. Something that I had a chance to attend out in California about colors and learning, bringing in different modalities of learning. Colors was one of those. So good. So I'm glad that helps as well. All right. So here's the last piece. We're going to write a story. I mean, maybe you like writing stories.
Yeah.
You do? Okay, good. You like writing stories?
I have, yeah.
You
It's been
have?
a long time.
Okay,
It's
good.
been a real
All
long
right.
time since I have, but yeah.
This particular story is going to be about your most favorite subject in the world. You know what that is? You. That's right. Very good. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write a story. Now, a couple of guidelines about the story. And if you look on the third step, it's going to tell you writing your story is this. It's going to be reflective. And it's going to be done in a way where exactly what you want to have happen has happened, just the way that you said. But reflective means you're going to start at the end and then reflect back. Okay? So Jag would actually be standing December 1st, 2007, and you'd be there. So you might think about, well, where are you? Are you at your house? Do you have some friends over? Are you sitting out at the pool? Or did you take your wife on a vacation? You know, wherever that is that you are to celebrate that has actually happened. And then you're reflecting back and you're saying to yourself, you know, I remember back in December, almost a year ago, when I went through this process, and these are the things that I thought of, and these are the things that I had to write down. And I said that such and such would happen by such and such date. And sure enough, it did. And there may be, as you're doing that, who you might have met along the way in your cold calls. Somebody that you might have met in the cold call that now has become a really great business partner for you. Or do you play golf?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, great. You're a squash player, right?
Yes.
Great. So you may have found somebody to play squash with now. So, you know, but it's okay to, is that okay to have those things happen?
Right.
Yeah, because whose masterpiece is this? It's yours. So you make it happen however you want.
Make it as detailed as you want to
As
make it.
absolutely
Okay.
as detailed as you want to make it, okay? And I'm glad that you said detail because you want to put the dates in. You want to put in everything that's going to happen exactly the way you're going to have it. Now, the only caution about this is this. When you write this down, be prepared that what you write down is going to happen exactly the way that you say, because we're actually creating that future. It's our masterpiece. And what I found for myself over time is that when I go through this exercise and I write it down and I can keep it in existence, that the things that I say happen. All the way from businesses to relationships. I've found that in my own life, and it's been an awesome tool to use. Kind of keeping that long-range plan out in front of me at all times. Okay? So I'm going to give you time to write your story now, and then we're going to have you share your stories with each other. And again, the sharing becomes what? It keeps it more now that we're sharing with other people. It keeps it in existence so that other people know they know what you're up to as well. Okay? All right. Very good. So, and first of all, as you write, I just want to thank you for your time and taking the time to do this because it's you know, there's a lot of things we could be doing, right, on a Sunday afternoon. But today, what we're doing is looking at what's important to us in our future. So, thanks for that. Great. Mark, we're going to stop the tape here. Thank you.